Hey guys, what's up? Zuta coming to you once again with Interjection, back after a week hiatus.
Hello there.
Of university festivities, and we're going to be doing another Saturday Smackdown co-cast. So, super pumped about that.
Yeah, Garja versus MusketJr. This is going to be a pretty good series of games. Both players very good. I haven't seen Musket play for a while. I know he streams quite a lot, though I haven't seen many of his streams. Definitely both good players. Garja, of course, came second in PK Clan Tournament 4, earning himself a nice big split of the prize, which was made available by the sponsors of that event, which was not Microsoft. And yeah, MusketJr. been playing for years. In fact, both of them.
You know what? Actually, I've got a bit of a fanboy crush on MusketJr. He's one of my favorite players.
He's the leader of the OBS clan, which is indeed the clan that I am in, and so is Azemk. Azemk being, you know, a huge fan of OBS games back on Vanilla Age 3, which was where he played the majority of his time, you know, on this game, just hosting unrated games as OBS. People come watch him. It's just what he liked to do. Musket very much the same, also quite liked to do that, and they made a clan for it. So, yeah, there's a bit of backstory behind Musket for you. We're getting ready to green up. So this first match on Siberia, as always, I'm the last one to green up, so I'll click the button, then I'll go with the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown, this time for the week 11th of October 2014. We did actually miss last week, at least I wasn't there. It did happen, Saturday Smackdown happened last week, so if you guys want to watch those VODs, if you're watching this as a VOD, then you can find them on the official Age of Empires YouTube channel, I'm sure. Links will be in the description, but for this particular game, spawning in the north of the map, in the colour red, we have Garja. That's starting with 2 wood crates. I always like to look at the wood crates. That's sort of what I do here. Now going right off the bat for his 45 coin treasure, but down to the south of the map, picking up, I believe, 50 wood. Really going to help him out there. Wood specialist British, yes, but 3 wood crates playing as the British. Here we have MusketJr. Zuta, tell us about this.
Okay, so the first thing I just wanted to mention was how clean both of these players' starts were. Like, their crate splits were both, like, really, really good. It's like, in the first 20 seconds of, like, watching someone play, it's, like, one way that you can tell whether or not someone's, like, actually really good. They had, like, perfect crate splits. Other than that, matchup-wise, pretty even matchup. Brit versus French is, I think, one of the more, like, standard even matchups in the book. Especially on Siberia, it gives both players lots of options. So, first of all, the thing we do see happening is we see Musket going for that bottom.
Is he going to get the XP? He's about to get it.
He's not going to get
it. Oh, no, does he? I don't even know.
We can look in the...
I don't think he did.
No,
he's at 78%
yeah,
for his
he didn't. Yeah, and Brits are...
And he says, "Oh, look at his." You can see in the chat, he didn't get it.
It was really close. You know, that trading post. That trading post it's very similar actually to the interaction of the trading post on Great Plains, where you almost have to run directly towards it. And I think he stopped to like crack shot a Guardian or something on the way or something maybe, or maybe he just like, you know, even if your Explorer spawns on like the wrong side of your town center, you know how like your Explorer can like spawn pretty much anywhere around your town center. If it spawns on the wrong side and you have to walk like that extra little distance, you'll still miss that. Same as Strong Great Plains, but
yeah, that can be really frustrating.
But yeah, he cracked like a Tiger treasure or something, yeah.
Was it on that 80 coin treasure? It's nice to make use of the crack shot whilst it's recharging, whilst you're getting the building the trading post. But that can, if you miss it, oh god, you must feel so bad about it.
No, he cracked the 50 wood treasure, which is what gave him the availability to take this trading post, anyways. But
oh, I see. Oh yes, of course. I mentioned that.
You even mentioned it. Yep.
Garja,
on the other hand, did start out with a market and did get his very early hunting dogs as well. That 45 coin treasure actually pays off huge for him because it just allows him to like only have to gather a tiny amount of coin and then like instantly be able to get his hunting dogs. So, you know, both players having really good solid starts. And
he finds himself a 110 wood treasure as well. That is basically steel traps. That's really nice for the French
steel
player.
Traps, or that could be a trading post. I mean, that could be lots of things. Could be lots of things.
I love this matchup. It's a vanilla matchup, and I have to say that those kind of matchups I prefer. It's France versus British. And I've said it before, but it's one of those kind of things. I mean, France has a couple of options, I think, but the one I often go for is a crossbow pike crush. I believe the other things they can do is a semi-FF kind of play, which is also a nice timing push. But with the crossbow pike aggression, at least, you can... I really like how, you know, France has that advantage in the early game. That 3 Carrera shipment, they actually start with more villagers than, you know, other civilizations because Carreras are just better. The 4 you know, it's just France has a really good economy strong early in the game, and that translates to a lot of units. They have that advantage over British, which invests quite a lot of wood into these houses, which don't pay off for a long time because, you know, it's quite a lot of wood to spend on a villager. And, you know, France is trying to lever that advantage, trying to force the British player off his hunts, contain him, do the damage that he can in that early portion of the game. But British, you know, the longer the game goes on, the more it switches to them. And I find that really interesting. You're looking at this critical mass kind of for the French player and trying to, yeah, working around that. But that 110 wood treasure, this is the point I'm building up to, means that you could get steel traps with it, which I often find when you're starting crossbow pike, you just don't have the time to get because it slows that first batch of units down so much. But could be a trading post, as Zuta points out.
Yeah, it does have a trading post. And I just want to highlight the one point that you said there that's especially true. French is really strong in the early game, and they're really strong in this matchup, you know, in the early goings of it, just because of, you know, like their innate civ bonus. But almost, and I mean this holds true for basically every civ, you don't really want to engage Brits in a long colonial bloody matchup, just because the longer the game goes, the more manors they're going to be building as, like, just the course of the game goes, just, you know, from building population, essentially. You need to build up houses, which gives you extra villagers, so your economy is just going to kind of power up over time innately. You also do have the fact that Brits do have really, really good upgrades. They have 2 musket upgrades and 2 hussar upgrades, both available to them. I haven't checked his deck to see which of those upgrades. I can almost guarantee he's got at least the 2 musket upgrades yet. So it does have both of the musket upgrades and one of the hussar upgrades as well. So just some really phenomenal upgrades the longer the course of the game goes, the stronger Brits get in colonial. So French either wants to win the game, if he's going to choose to play colonial, he wants to win the game early with, you know, something like crossbow pike, maybe even some sort of musk hard, like musk hussar timing push. But if he's going to do that, he has to win the game early. And it looks like it's just going to be, as you mentioned, some sort of cav semi-FF.
Yeah, he's gone with the trading post, which, I mean, if you get the wood for free to get that, it's really nice to get. It makes the French Fortress Age play so much better. So you just really, really want a trading post, and often I think people won't go up to Fortress for the semi-FF without one. They'll just make sure they do have that one. But, you know, semi-FF, the cav definitely going to be very useful. 5 cav, do some raiding, get up with that nice timing push, and then really harass the British once he's up to Fortress, can be really strong. But British, have you noticed, Zuta, that MusketJr. has done what I would call an ASAMP-style build here, sending the Virginia Company shipment as his second card? You do not often see that, as because, well, really, over the course of the game, it's only about 900 wood you save. And if you compare that to the Colonial Age 700 wood shipment, you get all of that wood in one go the moment that shipment arrives. But the requirement of the Virginia Company is that you do have to build all of those manors, and it's a really steep, difficult requirement sometimes.
Yeah, and I think we'll see how it ends up turning out. He did build a couple of pikes, which is going to give him a little bit of sustainability against these hussar raids. He does have quite a few manors coming up, and I think Garja's just going to see this. He's just going to age up, and he's just going to make some sort of tech-based timing push. As you mentioned, the Virginia Company, it's good for your manor boom, but it's also like investing in a card doesn't allow you to get to age 3 nearly as fast. And I think eventually he does want to find himself in age 3, and I think that's what we see him gearing up towards here now. Just has these couple pikes out to defend against hussars, and then is probably going to want to try and advance and age himself. And
that is so many manors going down, though. Wow.
Yeah, he's got a lot of manors. He's got a lot of manors.
Very polite.
Yeah, that's basically the translation of his 600 wood shipment, I guess, is being dumped into pure manors. Which, I mean, it's good. I'm curious to see what his next card is.
If the French chooses the crossbow pike colonial aggression, which is often the case, I mean, France will do that. I think, you know, if your opponent is not a good hunt, that's definitely more of an option. But in this game, choosing not to do that. If he did go for that colonial aggression, I just feel as if MusketJr. would be knocked over by that. You just cannot get away with this many manors, investing so many cards into, you know, your economy this early on, and really, What do you think, Zuda?
It's a bit of a calculated risk. I mean, you have to assume that your opponent is playing the map as well. And sometimes,
yes, Guy, you're up to Fortress now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Sometimes you just have to, like I said, you have to assume your opponent is playing the map. Garja's not probably going to Expo Pike. It'd be kind of a suboptimal build to do on this particular map.
Considering the tower as well.
Considering the tower, just the matchup in general. I mean, I don't think, Musket locked himself into building this many manners. It was more reactive. Well, I see you're only making 5 Hussar. I'm only going to make 5 Pike and drop everything else basically into powering on my eco. I don't think it was really necessarily like a calculated, like, well, I'm only going to make 5 Pike regardless of what you do and only build manners. I think
so adapting to what his opponents,
and
I see
it's
that.
resulted in him, having probably close to full manner population.
But still, he invested into that Virginia company completely blind. I mean, you wouldn't expect all these cav coming in. They're going to do quite well against the longbowmen there. The pikemen are fortunately quite close. Is he going to lose any cav though? Fortunately, just the one going down.
No, none of them going down.
No, okay, but still that one's very low.
Longbow? No. That's
Quick scope 360. Yeah. What was I saying? It doesn't matter. This is Virginia company. I mean, you don't expect your opponent to play colonial aggression on this particular map, I suppose. And I must admit, MusketJr's hunts were very good or at least his herding was very good. So, I guess you can sort of go for that Virginia company more safely here. But we have seen in previous Smackdowns, Azamk pike rushing as the Dutch against another Dutch player on this particular map, and that seemed to work out pretty okay. So by no means the worst thing that could happen. But here we have Gaia up to Fortress here. Units starting to come out.
And this is going to be tough. I mean, I think Garja's waiting for something like an 8 skirm shipment, and then he's going to time and push. He does have 5
2
cursors,
cannons.
2 cannons.
There it is.
I maybe would have liked to see 8 skirms just because he invested so heavily in those 5 cursors. I think those 5 cursors are going to do wonders against the infantry backlines. And this is where MusketJr has the most vulnerability in his build. He's aging himself. He's nearly there. He doesn't have any of the age 3 upgrades that are going to be required. He's just now getting a stable. And he's going to have to somehow deal with 10 cursors and 2 falconets with basically like 10 pikes, which is really, really tough. So he is in the fortress age now. He is going to, have a stable up, which is built in a very smart position towards this backside of his base. But the amount of tech that he's up against here in the French army is fairly terrifying at this point in the game.
Yeah, I feel as if, like, when you hit up as British, as any civilization, if your opponent pushes in as you're aging up, that's really not good for you. Fortunately, he did get up before the pressure arrived, meaning he did get this extra 7 longbowmen that you get for aging up. But the pressure is here on top of him, coming down fast. Of course, French has a very powerful semi-fast fortress, lots of nice shipments, a huge economy to back that up, and of course that trading post. And you can see here that Musket losing both of his forward barracks is here. Minutemen being called out. And
I just want to point out his veterancy upgrade for his
cannons. There it is. Can the red ones, can the blue, I think if red might be able to snipe that. Cannon goes down, not looking too good for him here. All the units coming in. Looks like all this longbowmen on the front being eaten up by cuirassiers. The pikemen coming in on the wrong side. Longbowmen getting back now. They didn't want to be there. I think he might have right-clicked into that by mistake, unfortunately there. But actually having lost both of those cannons, this engagement doesn't look too good. He called his Minutemen and not looking good.
Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble here, and this is just going to be the French timing push, and those cursors like going to do work. What I was going to point out was he barely got his veterancy upgrade for his longbowmen out of that barracks. He's going to try and run forward. And
cheeky snipe on that cannon, man.
But there's so much here from Garja, and he's got so much tech advantage. It's going to be really tough. I mean, he's got 2 stables up. I guess if he can get out. And I mean, his economy's still good, right? He hasn't lost anything. He's
47 villages with market upgrades, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, he is still gathering resources, but he's playing from behind here now. He's really got to get out a lot of units. He does get out about 10 dragoons, which are going to help quite a bit.
Yeah,
but
really nice against all this cav.
Yeah, he's still not. He's still not in a recovered position, even though the scores say that maybe he's not that far behind.
Yeah, French economy is still very strong, though. I mean, Blues is probably only slightly better, and that it's just the manners just take so long to come to fruition, I feel. But hey, Zuta, what do you think of? I mean, obviously going up to Fortress is pretty good, but what if he stays colonial and Mass is there? I mean, the two cannons will be really hard to deal with because all you can realistically make is just infantry and a few hussars, I suppose.
But he's going to have way more just like stuff, right? So I mean, I think there's validity in playing both styles. I don't think one style is necessarily more right than the other. Actually, the style that you're mentioning is a style that if I were to play, I would play myself. I don't really like playing Brits and Fortress, just because they don't have a fast age politician. You leave a lot to like chance. It can be a bit difficult to actually. They
push in as you're aging up.
It can be hard to like figure out what your opponent is doing, like, and get an appropriate response like formulated. You have to play it very, very well in Fortress Age. And you'll find yourself in situations like this. Now, a map like Siberia is certainly a map where that's, that kind of a thing is available. And I don't know, so far he's not paid the ultimate price. He's not dead yet, but
7 more skirms just arriving for red.
Yeah, second TC down here as well for Musket.
Oh, okay. For British. Ah, I feel as if at this point, is he in a comfortable enough position to do that? I mean, France is such a big army that is spending 600 wood on a town centre, which isn't military wise.
I mean, it does a couple of things. It secures his trading post a little bit. It secures this big patch of hunts and 2 gold mines. So, assuming that he can keep it alive for the next couple of minutes, I think it'll be fine. And he's very close to stabilizing.
His village is going down there. That doesn't look too good. 1, 2, 3, I think.
He's very close to stabilizing. He's I mean, he's got a lot of dragoons out. He's got a decent number of hussar out as well. There are
veteran hussars.
Yeah, a lot of skirmishers here though for
he can call his Minutemen here. Perhaps he has a shipment to pop out. No, he doesn't. I don't think so.
No,
yeah, but going for the engagement, there is cavalry getting onto the skirmishes. It's just there are, quite a few dragoons mixed in for the red player, and they're going to make short work of the cavalry. I do think red has a big army there, but Minutemen being called, and actually a big stack of longbowmen coming in from somewhere on the other side of the map. Actually, not too bad now that they've arrived.
Yeah, the longbows weren't even there to start the fight. I was almost going to, pronounce that a mistake. I didn't think that he would have the army to really kill this, but he got into a really good position at the start of the fight, and as a result, finds himself to be in an okay spot here. And I mean, I guess he's. I think he's won now. I mean, now he's at the point where he's killed his opponent's army. He's equivalent in age.
That was a risky move going up, though. I feel as if Gaia had pushed a bit earlier. That would have been so hard for British. I mean, he did lose those 2 forward barracks. Staying colonial, I think you have more of a chance to protect those raxes, actually. But, his Fortress Age decision paying off, and we have to remember absolutely huge amount of manners laid down in that early portion of the game. I think actually getting away with what he chose to do here. And at this point in the game, it's paid off for him. He's doing quite well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if we can point to a mistake from Garja, I really would have liked to seen the
guy has resigned.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see 8 skirms instead of
2 cannons.
Instead of 2 cannons. And the reason I say that is because I think ultimately the 10 or 15 pikes that were present in that first little fight, I think if he could focus those down from range and then kind of ramboed those 10 cuirassiers in, I think he would have found himself to be much more efficient with his army composition early in the game. I think he was just hoping that the cuirassiers would catch him by surprise and you could just kind of smash through and kind of use them as their own anti-cav, or their own anti-pike, I guess, and just kind of smash everything down with AOE. And it didn't. I mean, he did win the fight, but probably not as hard as he would have if he would have had 8 skirms. I don't know. It would have been. Plus, he would have been able to push a little faster, right? Because 8 skirms certainly moves a lot quicker than 2 falconets. 2 falconets have to walk all the way across. Lots of ifs, but I would have liked to have seen that and just seen what the outcome would have been with 8 skirm over 2 falconet. But that's a very tough decision to make in that split minute.
It certainly could have been different. I do like cannons versus British. They're certainly very good at dealing with infantry, but as you say, they are slow to get over. Definitely lots of possibilities. The 8 skirmishes, they're good. But yes, that does indeed, ladies and gentlemen, conclude the first game in this series. Garja taking a loss. MusketJr, his first victory so far. I'm now going to head out of the game. Let's get into game number 2. Absolutely.